Good day, everyone. As we move into the closing session of this conference, it is my honor to introduce Ms. Portia Kinnell, a veteran in the work of early childhood field. Prior to her retirement, Portia dedicated 30 plus years to designing, implementing, and scaling effective evidence-based early childhood education and family support program models for children and their families. To name a few of Portia's many successes that have contributed to the betterment and support of families and communities, she's the founding executive director of Educare Learning Network and a University of Illinois 0 to 3 fellow. Portia, welcome and thank you for joining us. Take it away.
Thank you, guys. Wow. Hello from sunny Atlanta to all of you in the listening audience. I'm so excited and honored to be here. I've been listening to the presentations, and I am excited because I was on the planning committee for this, and I'm just excited that it finally happened and that we are focused on you parents. We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for it. So I'm excited. Thank you, Ashley, for your generous introduction. I want to acknowledge the theme for the conference today: lead and leadership, learn, collaboration, and support. The conferences have provided you with activities to do with your children. It's provided you with information about early childhood services, and has also given you an opportunity to learn about resources that you can use with your family and your children or child. It's just been exciting. I hope that this is just the beginning for all of us. So now I'm the closing speaker. You've been listening and interacting with each other around the different topics about resources and the importance of your role with your child for the past, couple hours. So it's now my time to share some thoughts and reflections with you about what I think and where I think we are in early childhood education and care as it relates to the critical roles that parents and families not only can play in our work, but must play moving forward in the future. Throughout my talk today, you'll hear me say the words both parents, families, families, and I'm using these terms in the most inclusive way. Families come in various shapes and forms and with different members in it, but I'm using that to include all families, whether it's grandchildren raising their grandchildren, being raised by their grandparents or foster parents, those adults who are responsible for the nurturing, growth, and development of children. This speech is about you. So before I begin, I want to say one thing. When you leave this conference today, there is only one message that I want you to take away. If you don't get anything else, take this. I hope you leave knowing that you matter. Your family, you as a parent matter. You not only matter in the engagement and involvement of your child's education, I want you to know that you also have power. Yeah, I said it, power. You have the power to influence not only your child's education, learning, and later school development and success. You are the child's first educator and best advocate. But guess what? This is where I'm here now. You know you're powerful and you matter in your own child's life and in your family's life. But guess what? I'm here to tell you that you also matter in terms of your involvement and engagement and participation in the early childhood education systems and programs that are available to you in Nebraska. It's important that you also not only be involved at the individual family level. We, early childhood professionals like me and others, and systems and programs that are in your community and in your state, we need your involvement because you have very important information that we need in order to continue to learn and grow and make the best early childhood system that we can be for you, your children. So let's start here. We know that all children are born learning. You got that this morning. Talked about learning begins at birth. Yet we also know, and you may have had some experiences with this, that the early childhood system has some systemic issues. Yes, we're not perfect. We've been plagued in the early childhood system for a long time with issues that we're struggling with, like quality, access to quality, workforce recruitment, retention of teachers and providers, compensation of teachers and providers, and equity and finance, and most of all for us, affordability. Can we afford the quality care that we want as parents and that you want as parents for your children? In fact, the pandemic has amplified all of these problems that existed before. So to address these challenges, I am, and these are my reflections and thoughts, convinced that transformative change is needed. At this point, you might be asking, it's been a long day, what does she mean by transformative change? I'm so glad you asked that or thought that. For our discussion today, when I say transform or transformative change, and when I say that you as a parent are the key ingredient and catalyst for transformative change in the early childhood systems and programs. Because when you show up, things change. What you have to contribute to helping us build a better system, a more effective system, a more responsive system is in your hands. We need you to be with us at the table as we design, think about, plan for these services, because your experiences with your children and with accessing services is important for us to know, so we can know how effective is it working, is it not working, what should we do to make it better. So let's start with this first slide. What does transform mean? It means to alter or modify. It means to dramatically change and form. Okay, what does that have to do with you? Parents, listen to me. I want you to get this. When you show up and get engaged and involved in the systems and programs and services in the early childhood system in your communities, at the community and state level, when you show up, you make a difference. You are a parent who is an expert in your lived experience with your child. When program developers and designers and service providers work with parents, we enrich the possibility of success, and we cannot do it without you. You as a parent have valuable information that is needed to help the system succeed. Collaboration between families that use the services and those that are delivering the services creates the possibility of successful outcomes for children and families. But let's talk more specifically about the type of parent engagement and what it looks like. I want to go to the next slide and look at the definition I've just provided you, I'm sorry, the definition of transform, but the point that I want to make to you is embodied in this quote from Glenn Barton. The reason why we really need you to show up is that those closest to the problem or challenge are closest to the solution. You are the end users, your children, you, of the services, the ideas, the systems, the processes that we are working to create, those of us in the early childhood care and education field. But you are closest to what really happens on the ground when these services are provided. And without your information, we cannot do a better job and create the strong, effective system and responsive system that we want for parents and children. You as a parent are a catalyst for this transformative change. And you are the critical factor in helping us build a responsive, effective system that brings the kind of outcomes for children and families that we all want. So let me tell you something very quickly. Think about this transformation. Salt. Some time ago, I read this book about minerals, and they talked about salt. Salt is not really a seasoning, although we use it as a seasoning. It's really a powerful mineral. And I want to think of yourself and challenge you to show up and get involved in your community around ensuring that access to quality early childhood services are available not only for your children, but for the families and the children in your community and really throughout the state. Salt is a powerful seasoning. When salt shows up, it changes everything. It's the most powerful ingredient, mineral that you can add to a dish. And I want you to know that you are the most powerful thing, that when you get involved with us, things change. So when you show up, think of yourself as salt. Things are gonna change. Things are gonna get better. I have valuable information to share about my experience of accessing the early childhood system and its services. And we all need that. We need that information so that we can do a better job. So the other thing I wanted you to think about, if we're going to do transformation, if you're a part of the transformation of this system, we can't do it without you. We've got to work together, providers, practitioners, home visitors, everyone that's involved in the early childhood field. We must work together to make the system better. But let's just think about this for a moment. If we are going to work together and we're going to do this transformative change, what does it look like? What are we hoping for? What does it look like? What are we trying? How will we know that we're transforming? So I say this goal of your involvement and engagement in this work with us as the systematic and sustained inclusion, participation, and leadership of families at all levels of the early childhood system. That includes the planning, that includes the policy, that includes assessment of the services and all aspects of the work, the broad work of early childhood. I need you, the field needs what you have to contribute. Now, without your participation, we will be missing a critical aspect, and that is what the user, the children and the families experience from the services that we provide. We together can not only help address challenges, we can build a better system that works for all of us, all of the children and families in your community and in the states. To achieve real and lasting progress, we in the early childhood field must do more to include parents, families, and communities' voices at the planning and development and implementation table. And most of all, when decisions are made, we need your input in helping us develop services that are supposed to work for children and families in their communities. I believe that more chairs are needed at the early childhood table, and those chairs need to be filled by you, parents. Those of us in the early childhood field cannot build a successful early childhood system for children and families without you and without your participation. There have been times, I will admit, in the past that we unintentionally have made systems and services that were designed that created barriers for your participation. But I am determined to do better. We want you at the table. However, with all of that said, as I'm reflecting on this, I don't want you to feel that you're in this alone. We might want to put all the responsibility on you as a parent. No, no, no. We're going to do this together. We're going to work together, families and practitioners in the field of early childhood, to address the root causes of the problems and disparities and inequities that exist in the early childhood system, and your lived experience, what you have to contribute matters and makes all the difference. Like salt matters. When it gets into a dish, you know that salt's around, and when you're there, things can transform. You're part of the transforming process, a critical element, your engagement and involvement. You've heard today how different parent leaders are involved in the early childhood system, and we need more parents. We can have a greater impact if we work together than any of us can do alone. Now, I want to move on as I am closing. Here's what I want you to think about. You matter. Listen to me now. You matter as a parent and a family. You have the power to influence. If we work together, all of us, to influence and help us develop a responsive, impactful, and successful early childhood system, not only for your children and the families in your community, but for the entire state. We are all in this together. We must work together to find solutions. I want to end with this quote by Lillian Katz. She was an early childhood professor that I had in my education at the University of Illinois. She's in University of Illinois is my alma mater. So listen to this. I want you to think about this. Dr. Katz said this: each of us must come to care about everyone else's children. We must recognize the welfare of our children is intimately linked to the welfare of other people's children. So with that said, your participation, parents, families, your engagement and involvement in not only your children's education and learning and development, but in the system that exists now is critically important. You have valuable information. And if we work together, we can create a system that is responsive to children and families' needs, that has great impact and outcomes for both children and families. I thank you.
Thanks, Portia, so much. Portia asked us to reflect a little bit about what she was talking about, and just a little sentences, or a few sentences to talk about. Hopefully, I can keep into that. But you know, one thing, I've been parenting for 27 years. I have 7 kids. Parents need to be involved. It's the thing about parent involvement, parent leadership, that has been so valuable for me and my family, and hopefully the people around me that maybe have thanked me along the way for any advice that I've given, is that it started somewhere. And how do you get involved? How do parents get involved? And for us, like, our parent leadership and our parents stuff got involved by attending a conference. We attended a conference. People asked us, hey, how do you get involved? Do you want to be involved further? And we filled out a piece of paper, and then we became parent leaders for that conference. Over the years, I ended up being the leader of that whole conference. My point there is that there's such different levels along that way of my involvement as a parent leader and my involvement with the education systems, et cetera. And it started with just attending a conference. And so it's changed my life. It's changed my wife's life. It's changed all my kids' life, and it's changed people around me's lives for the better. It's increased our quality of life, and I know I've helped a lot of people. One other thing I want to add, Portia talked a lot about that we matter, that our voice is going to matter. And I know there's a frustration out there for parents that our voice just doesn't matter. I talk, I tell them this is this, and it seems like nothing changes. During those years that I've been a parent, I've never experienced things that are happening now. The last few years of people out reaching out to parents to get their voice, to hear their experience, to see what's going on. And so now is such a great time to get involved in this because the opportunities are there. And even some of the people that we're working with, like Portia and NCCF, they're looking for parents to become more involved. They're looking for parents to help be on committees and stuff like that. And they don't have enough parents to be involved. So share your information, say, I want to get involved, share your experiences.
And what I'd like to add is I like to call parent leaders champions, and we need champions at all level of leadership. And the leadership, the most important place where leadership starts is in your homes. That's where the leadership begins. You loving your children, you caring for your children, you playing with your children, you talking to your children. That's where the leadership starts. And we need parent champions, which are leaders. We need them at all levels. And if your comfort level is in the home, be the best champion you can be there. And if your comfort level is being a part of state system change, do your leadership there. Just get out there, research, have conversations with other parents, meet people, seek out agencies and organizations in your community, get connected with them, find your way to lead, whatever you're comfortable with. But bottom line is we need parent champions at all levels. And another thing that I would like to share with you all of you parents out there, you might ask yourself, how do I lead? Am I a good leader? Do I have the capacity to lead? And I want you to look to your own children. The best thing about children is their imagination. That is the best thing about children is their imagination. So take that aspect about your children and use your imagination, what you want for your own children, what you want for your neighbors, what you want for your community. And that is a great place to start when it comes to thinking about how we as parents are going to lead. Portia?
Well, I think you guys said it all. I just want the parents to know that they matter. I don't care what it looks like. You have information that is critical to the success of early childhood and program. And we need you to show up and become involved. And you've had this conference today that really has shared information that maybe that's a place to begin. And so go out there and make this place a better world for our children and our families and all of us. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to talk to you.